Welcome to Royal Daily Report, your source for the latest royal news and updates. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed. A young woman once hidden behind strict NDAs has started to talk, and what she said was simple, shocking, and world-shifting. Prince Harry might not be the biological father of Meghan Markle's daughter, Lilibet. For a moment, time stopped. No one knew if this was a misunderstanding or the beginning of the biggest royal twist in decades. But one thing was clear. Meghan panicked. Because if the surrogate story was true, everything Meghan and Harry built, their image, their family, their escape from the crown, would begin to crack from the inside. Now, this is where the mystery deepens. To understand the story behind Lilibet's birth, you have to understand Colorado. Not the mountains, not the scenery, but the law. Colorado is known for having some of the most surrogacy-friendly rules in the United States, and what makes it stand out is simple. You can have a baby there without leaving a trace of the surrogate who carried it. In Colorado, the surrogate's name can be legally left out from all final documents. The intended parents get listed as the mother and father, even if they never carried the child. No one is required to reveal biological details. No hospital is required to note that a surrogate was involved at all. It is the perfect state for secrecy. And around the time Lilibet was born, Colorado suddenly became more than just a location. It became a signal, a clue pointing toward a version of events that didn't match the public's story. And soon, whispers began to spread about a young woman who had given birth there in the same time frame. A woman whose story was never supposed to surface. The deeper investigators looked, the clearer one name became. A 23-year-old woman who reportedly gave birth in Colorado just days before Lilibet's official birth date. Her identity remains sealed behind NDAs, but her story began to slip through cracks that Meghan's team couldn't seal fast enough. According to those close to the situation, she was chosen for a high-profile surrogacy arrangement. The terms were strict: deliver the baby and disappear. She received a large payment for complete silence. A luxury apartment in Denver rented under a shell company housed her during the final weeks. And when investigators traced that shell company, it led back to a business partner connected to the Sussex Circle. The instructions, sources say, were simple. No interviews, no photos, no contact after birth. And for a long time, she followed those instructions. She vanished from public life. No baby appeared in her world. Not one picture, not one family celebration, not one sign that she was raising a child. Then, after years of silence, something changed. Her name began appearing in places it shouldn't. Quiet conversations, legal inquiries, and private circles where people began to ask questions about a birth that didn't match the official narrative. It was clear she hadn't spoken publicly, but she had spoken. And what she said next would shake the entire story to its core. For months after the birth, the supposed surrogate carried a private burden. A detail she never questioned at first, until one passing comment in a hospital room changed her understanding completely. According to her account, as she recovered after delivery, a member of the medical staff made a casual remark about the donor information being on file. The word donor froze her. Donor. She had believed the child she carried came from Meghan and Harry's own biological materials. A traditional surrogate arrangement, that's what she understood when she signed. That's what she trusted. But now, something wasn't adding up. So, she asked questions. And the answers she found were worse than anything she imagined. She discovered Harry's DNA was never part of the conception process. The fertilization was done through anonymous means, supposedly a donor. She was never shown proof of whose egg or sperm was used. All lab work and implantation details were kept behind closed doors. The more she learned, the more she realized she had been a vessel, not a partner in a family-building journey. She carried a child based on a story she believed, a story that now seemed false. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for more royal updates. When legal protections around her NDAs began to loosen, and when her conscience pushed her toward the truth, she stepped forward, not to the media, but to investigators and lawyers. And according to sources who've seen fragments of her statements, her claim is clear. Prince Harry is not the biological father. It is the revelation that breaks the story open. The revelation Meghan feared. The revelation that turns one strange birth certificate into a possible blueprint for an entirely different truth. And now, with the surrogate speaking behind closed doors, the quiet machinery of the monarchy begins to move. Because if this claim is true, this isn't just a family secret. It's a royal crisis. The moment the surrogate statements reached certain officials, the royal machinery began shifting behind closed doors. No announcements, no press releases, just quiet movement. The kind that only happens when something threatens the very structure of the crown. Sources say senior aides were briefed on 3 critical points. 1. The missing legal name on Lilibet's birth certificate. 2. The Colorado surrogacy trail. 3. The surrogates claim that Harry is not the biological father. Individually, each point could be brushed aside. But together, they form a direct threat to what the monarchy protects most, the bloodline. Behind palace gates, lawyers were contacted, constitutional advisors were summoned, and senior officials reportedly reviewed every document connected to Lilibet's birth. Because if the surrogate is telling the truth, even partially, then this is not just a scandal. This is a succession issue. A child presented as a royal daughter may not qualify for the line of inheritance. Titles, privileges, royal standing, all of it depends on biological family line. Not marriage, not fame, not public sympathy. And the monarchy knows that once a bloodline is questioned, trust fractures. And once trust fractures, the institution weakens. This wasn't gossip to them. This was a 5-alarm fire. As the palace reviewed the situation, comparisons between Meghan's two births became unavoidable. The patterns once brushed off as privacy now looked like signals. One child with a story that mostly matched reality. Another child with a story that felt constructed, tightly controlled from paperwork to public appearances. And the surrogate's claims suddenly gave those inconsistencies context. Because if Lilibet's birth involved a surrogate, if donor material was used, and if secrecy was required to maintain a royal image, then the unusual documentation and missing details were not mistakes. They were part of a plan. A plan meant to protect the narrative. A narrative that was beginning to crumble. As investigators pieced together timelines, questions began to rise. Not about Meghan, but about Harry. What did he know? When did he know it? And was he ever told the full truth? Sources close to the situation claim the darkest fear Meghan has is not public shame. It's Harry discovering he may have been excluded from the biological process entirely. The surrogate statement suggested Harry wasn't part of the conception. The birth certificate showed his legal identity missing. The secrecy around the pregnancy kept him shielded from ordinary medical details, because this wasn't just about the world learning the truth. It was about Harry learning it, the man who left his country for her. The man who defended her against the palace, the press, and the public. The man who believed the story exactly as it was told. If the surrogate is right, Harry may have never been anything more than a symbol. A royal figurehead used to present a modern fairy tale to the world, and if that is true, then the final crack in this story will not come from the palace or the public. It will come from Harry himself. In every story, there is a moment when the truth stops whispering and starts knocking. For Meghan and Harry, that moment has arrived. The carefully crafted image, the modern royal couple, the escape from tradition. The promise of a freer life now stands on unsteady ground. A missing name, a hidden surrogate, a donor file, a panicked confession behind closed doors. Piece by piece, the narrative they built is slipping through their hands. Inside the palace, the silence has weight. The kind of silence that comes before history rewrites itself. Advisors watch. Lawyers prepare. No one raises their voice because they don't need to. The facts are speaking louder than any statement could. And in California, a different kind of silence hangs over the Sussex home. Not the calm of privacy, but the tight, trembling quiet that comes when a person realizes the story they told the world may no longer hold. Because if the surrogate is telling the truth, if Harry is not the biological father, if Lilibet's bloodline does not match the lineage of the crown, then this is not just a family secret. This is the breaking of a royal myth. And myths don't fall quietly. They fall loudly. They fall publicly. They fall in ways no one can control. Now the world waits, breath held, eyes narrowed for the chapter that comes next. A chapter not shaped by PR teams, documentaries, or crafted speeches, but by the undeniable force of truth. The fairy tale is cracking, and the next revelation is coming. Not everyone will walk away royal. That's all for today's Royal Daily Report. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more exclusive royal news and stories. Stay informed, stay connected.